If I'm allowed, may I direct the Commission to page 12, paragraph 6.1 of the founding affidavit of Mr. Mogotsi. Chair, paragraph 6.1 gives a picture of what happened when Mr. Mogotsi reached out to the evidence leader. And he says that it was around that time he did not have any attorneys, which coincided with the time that Mr. Suleiman was giving testimony in the commission. Now, he also further in the next paragraph says that there was an exchange of WhatsApps and telephone calls, and the content of the conversations caused him grave concern regarding the evidence leader's impartiality. Now, it goes on and he explains what then transpired. What is important, Chair, is that with regards to the call that took place on the 9th of March, the response from the evidence leader is that he does not have any recollection of what the content of the conversation was about. And therefore, it cannot be that what he says is most probably true as opposed to what Mr. Mogotsi is saying. Mr. Mogotsi gives a thorough explanation as to what was discussed when the call took place, and that is the evidence that we have before the Commission, and it's not disputed. Now, Chair, I also submit that it's important that we visit the purpose or the rule of one being an evidence leader when it comes to commissions. The evidence leader's role is crucial in its nature, in that it will decide how the evidence is tested and it will shape the lines of questioning. And it ought to be done in a way that can assist the Commission, and it also impacts on the fairness of the procedure. The evidence leader can influence the narrative of the evidence, and he's the one who engages with the witnesses in order to solicit evidence from them. Now, Chair, the test for what constitutes apprehended bias is whether a reasonable, objective, and informed person would reasonably think that the decision maker or relevant actor.
Are you going back to that test now? Because I thought right at the beginning you and I reached a stage where we agreed that that's not the correct test, and that test applies to decision makers, and that an evidence leader is not a decision maker.
I'll retract.
Yes.
I'll retract that statement, Chair.
Without interrupting you, because you're dealing with an important point. The evidence leader does not say he does not recall that phone call of 2056 on the 9th of March 2026. On page 82 at paragraph 17, this is what he says: I have no detailed recollection of what was discussed. And then he continues, but in paragraph 19 on page 83, he then sets out what was discussed. And you find that on paragraph 19, he says, in our call at 2056 on 9 March 2026, this is what happened. and goes into detail about that. And then on 84, paragraph 23, he says, I would never have encouraged Mr. Mogotsi to give false evidence against Mr. Carrim. I categorically deny. Then he sets out the denials. And then he says the impression Mr. Mogotsi's bill is trying to create, where reference is made to help, deals with that in paragraph 24. So he doesn't say he has no recollection of the phone call. So that's the full answer to that. So maybe you can then continue with your submissions. I just wanted to draw your attention to what the affidavit actually says.